safe haven. That place is an admitted failed state, worst place in the world. 50,000 people dead conservatively, most of them being chopped up by al-Qaeda. Then our government tried to overthrow the second most populous country in Africa, Egypt, to put al-Qaeda basically in. And what's crazy is when they put the Muslim Brotherhood in, they let al-Qaeda in to just run around and just start murdering people and blowing up military bases. I've got so much family that's fought these folks in Afghanistan, mainly in Iraq. And they go, man, listen, these people will take their kid, pour gasoline all over them. I was talking to my cousin about this. And then call in a medvac saying they've been burned in a car fire. And then when you land, the guy's dad will come out and try to blow himself up. And again, I'm not defending the West and the wars and the invasions. I understand that. Our government goes, stirs them up, funds the most radical people, and then lets us have a war with them to take our liberties. It's so sick. And now they're doing it in Syria and Iraq, and Obama says, I'm going to ask Congress for funding to the rebels to take out al-Qaeda when the rebels are 90+% al-Qaeda. And to confuse people, Obama says ISIL, ISIS, IS, al-Qaeda in Iraq, al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. In any military journal, it is not debatable that ISIS is made up of al-Qaeda in Iraq, al-Qaeda in Syria. They call themselves al-Qaeda in Libya. This is al-Qaeda, funded by Saudi Arabia. It's in mainstream German, Dutch, British newspapers. Just type it in. Saudi Arabia armed ISIS. They gave them armored vehicles, rocket launchers. It's all U.S. stuff Saudi Arabia bought. But our government's so arrogant, they have C-130s landing in Jordan and Turkey, and they go to bases, and the al-Qaeda people come up to the airplanes as 45-year-old, 65-year-old CIA people sit there with their mouths hanging open. I mean, normally they would send a truck with some troops or something to then deliver it to al-Qaeda. They make our troops and CIA people actually go meet with al-Qaeda. I mean, can you imagine being in the CIA and pulling up, landing in a plane and getting off, and there's guys with beards with al-Qaeda patches, and you're giving them Stinger missiles? That's what Tosh Plumlee talked about here. It's all been confirmed. I'm going to go back to Joe Biggs and Leanne McAdoo because you guys have a lot of reports to follow for the Nightly News tonight. You're doing a great job. Joe, I just keep marveling. It's not even about arming al-Qaeda. The story's bigger than that. It's the mind games of changing the names to confuse us. And what do you think they're planning there? Because I mean, how are they going to... You know this is to overthrow Assad. How are they going to spin this back when they armed him to attack Assad? Now they claim they're attacking him, but it's really an attack on Assad. Or do you think they're planning some new big terror attack that'll be so emotional that people will forget and will say blow up Assad and maybe blame him or something? Kind of like they blamed Saddam when it was Saudi Arabia? I mean, what do you think's happening here, Joe? You fought these people. You fought al-Qaeda.
Well, the biggest thing is the hearts and minds. They want you to feel like the bad guy that they want you to, whoever they, you know, Assad, that's our bad guy, right? So we paint that picture. Now the only way to get the hearts and minds of the American people to back a war with them is to feel like there's some kind of humanitarian crisis happening in that area. That's what happened a year ago. They said there were these chemical attacks, all this stuff is bad. Assad's bad, bad. Let's go fund the Free Syrian Army, which, by the way, are a lot of the same rebels in Libya who also admit that al-Qaeda is with them, which is now ISIS. You know, a lot of people forget.
And they launched the chemical attack.
Exactly. They want you to feel like there's a humanitarian crisis involved. That's how you get 90% of the hearts and minds of Americans, the sheep, the people who are asleep, not paying attention. They flip on CNN, Fox News, and they see the kids sitting in a cell somewhere. They see little kids running around crying. That's all they see. They see that in one area where that camera's pointing. Meanwhile, while the rest of it's going on, the people are like, this isn't even happening here. They just want you to see that right there. That's all they care about. It's always going to be a humanitarian crisis to get these people here amped up to back the president to go on some bogus war again, so we lose more Americans in a stupid war.
Exactly, but this time it's not even flimsy. It's totally transparent. You've got Rand Paul and others saying, don't arm al-Qaeda. We're about to give money to the same people we fought. You've got generals saying it. And then the Republican leadership is lined up saluting Obama, Boehner, going, yes, we're going to back arming the rebels to stop al-Qaeda, when it's the same people. What are they going to do when al-Qaeda attacks the United States and Europe with these weapons?
Well, ISIS was very disorganized until a few months ago, where they have ramped up and gotten a lot more leadership. I don't know if you remember, we gave them the leadership with a deserter named Bo Bergdahl. We traded him for 5 top leaders who are now back in the mix leading these men. I'm guarantee you they've got their hands in there. That leadership is in play, and they're helping these guys get structured and learn how to game plan the right way.
And, of course, while these leaders were held for years, they were being told the real game plan at the highest level that, oh, you're going to go out and do this, you're going to destabilize, but you don't go into Kurdistan, you don't go into Iran. This is the deal. We're breaking Iraq in 3 parts. You're going to get a piece of it and a piece of Syria. Now go play dumb. But then they're so out of control, and they're always turning on each other as well, that they went outside the lines, they painted outside the numbers, and went into Kurdistan, and they even attacked Jordan a few weeks ago. And so it may be they're really getting ready to attack ISIS because they've double-crossed the West. My point is, what are you doing working with al-Qaeda publicly? I mean, it's just, that's what I'm saying, Joe. How do they get away with this? I don't see the establishment pulling this off this time. And they better know that if they let al-Qaeda attack the United States, I don't care how many times they change the name. They can change the name to Toucan Sam tomorrow. We know who's behind this. 9/11 Truth will totally expose them this time.
The thing is, though, the people have been dumbed down so much that truly Obama can be so transparent and throw things in our face that most people won't even pay attention or see it. They won't even care. I mean, you could see Obama in a video going, all right, I want you guys to attack the southern borders. And people would turn on the TV and watch and go, nah, that's not, he didn't do that. You know, that's how transparent they've been able to be. Every plan that they've wanted up until now has worked.
Sure. And when we say inside job, the media always spun that down to dumbed-down propaganda that means the police blew up the towers, or that means there are no Muslim extremists. No, that's not what we ever said. We said, wow, the head of the embassy says they were ordered to let the hijackers in, they were CIA. Hey, the head of the Defense Language School in Monterey says he trained Muhammad Atta and others, they were U.S. government agents. Hey, NORAD stood down. Hey, they're using this to take our liberties. Hey, they're using this to attack countries, had nothing to do with it. This is a pretext by criminal groups inside the country double-crossing us with Saudi Arabia and others, period.
There's no way that many coincidences happen on a one-sided assault. The only way for that many coincidences to happen are for both parties to be involved, the U.S. and the terrorists as well.
Not once, I agree, not once, not twice, not 10 times, more than 15 times. I want to get him back on. He speaks good English. Andres von Bülow was the German defense minister. Then he was the head of their CIA. He wrote a 300-page book. I have had him on the show, and the headline is, The CIA Executed 9/11. That's what it translates into English. This is the head of the German CIA, highly respected, Andres von Bülow. And here's his quote: to hijack 4 huge airplanes within a few minutes and within 1 hour to drive them into their targets with complicated flight maneuvers. This is unthinkable without years-long support from secret apparatus of the state and industry. Andres von Bülow, former Secretary of State in the German Federal Ministry of Defense. And that is up on Infowars.com. And he actually in the book breaks down, and he said on the air, the entire German Defense Command and the entire German intelligence knew instantly there were bombs. Instantly. I mean, these aren't morons. They were all just standing there with their mouths hanging open. Then they saw the insider trading by the executive director of the CIA, Buzzy Krongard, even came out in Der Spiegel. Because Germans went public. They went, this is a Reichstag event. I mean, Andres von Bülow, folks, guy's like 170 IQ. He wrote a book proving that it was an inside job. Bare minimum, they We know they put the hijackers on, and the few air calls that actually got out said we can't breathe, there's gas, there's smoke. They nerve gassed the people, remote control took over, flew the planes into buildings. The hijackers were trained for drills to test airport security in a CIA Defense Department program. That's why if you're a cop or anybody else, don't be part of secret drills, because they're getting ready to say cops and military are going to blow stuff up. That's the next deal. 9 times out of a, you know, 1 time out of 100, 1 time out of 200, it'll be a real, you know, terror attack. So most of the time it's a real drill. But this is how they set people up. I want to go to Leanne McAdoo, Joe Biggs. We're going to get more from you. Probably if you've got more to report coming up during the special 4th hour, we're going to focus in on 9/11 today. I'm going to have open phones next hour. We're also going to get Jerome Corsi to pop in on ISIS and the Muslim Brotherhood and their original investigative report.